This is our tenon cutter. It comes with everything you see here, but not the drill bit. 9 millimeter, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So you can set up a range of 9 to 15 for any of your pen making needs. You will need a 6 millimeter drill bit for your pilot hole. And to set this up, slide our setup bushing on here. And we're using the smaller part. So whenever you do any setup, you're always going to set up to the smaller part. I'm going to loosen the cutter here, and this cutter blade just free floats in there, so you can see it comes right out. And what I want to do is I want to put this up to here, and I want my carbide cutter blade to be perfectly flat against the setup bushing, but I don't want it to be tight that it's scraping. So I just want to hold it loose but snug. So I'm going to get it flat, and then I want to be able to spin that, but I don't want to see any gap or any air between there. So once I'm in a good spot, I'll kind of hold this blade with my finger, and I'll snug these down to just a starter snug, and I'll give this another spin. Looks good. I don't see any gaps or anything in there, and now I can snug them down a little more. And you do want these snug. You don't need to, put all your He-Man strength into it, just nice and snug so it doesn't move on you on the lathe. But that's the perfect setup. We're ready for an M10. Now we'll do our 6 millimeter pilot. Even though we're going to be cutting this off, I'm going to drill all the way through with this. Okay, there we go. So what I'm going to do is cut the tenon. I've already set up my tenon cutter. I can either mark on the blank or mark on the tenon cutter 8 millimeters. Looks like 8 millimeter from the cutting edge is just to the side of the screw there. So that gives me a visual, and that'll actually work pretty well. So the pilot shaft of the tenon cutter is loose. You can glue it in, but I'll show you a couple reasons why I like to leave it loose. Now, before you put this pilot shaft in, make sure you blow this out and maybe put in some WD-40. You want this free floating and loose when it goes in. So I'm gonna line this up, get this on, and then I'm gonna get close with my tool, about 1 millimeter apart. And remember, I'm only going to the inside of that screw. You can obviously do a much better job marking and measuring if that's your style, but I kind of like to just have a quick and easy reference and go for it. Now, I'm going to crank this on, and we're on the low speed setting of this lathe, so we're going to be about 900 here. And I'm just going to hold this and do this, and this is why this tenon cutter is so nice, is you can make a really good quality tenon really, really easily and not have to continually stop and measure like if you were doing it by hand. So that is about everywhere I want to go there. Now, what's cool is I can back this off and that shaft is still in there. And I'm actually going to leave this shaft in here while I do some other operations. We have that little tiny part where this meets into the body, and it's like 1 millimeter thick. So if we torque on this at any point, or if we're tapping this and we crank our die too hard, we can snap it right off. So by leaving this shaft in, it kind of gives us a little extra support. So that's why I like that it's loose here. So that looks pretty good. Now we're ready to thread this.